Erik Ten Hag believes Manchester United must get better at finishing, as they've missed the most big chances in the Premier League this season. United's lack of killer instinct up front meant they couldn't secure a win at Selhurst Park last weekend, despite showing big improvements from their earlier match against Crystal Palace. When asked if he worries about his team's goal difference, Ten Hag said, "We made lots of chances in the season's first games. Last week against Barnsley, we scored 7, so we can do it, but we need to step up. We have to get better. We need to be more clinical in the box." Reports say Man United icon Paul Scholes thinks new recruit Matthijs de Ligt isn't better than Harry Maguire. Maguire joined Man United from Leicester City in 2019 for £80 million. Over the last 2 seasons at Old Trafford, he has faced huge pressure. The centre-back has received more flack than any other Red Devils player, but his consistent showings over the past year have gone unnoticed. Maguire has focused on his work to regain his top form. Rumors swirled this summer about Man United trying to sell Maguire as they signed de Ligt from Bayern Munich and Lenny Yoro from Lille. Despite this, the England international stayed at Old Trafford. In early September, Ten Hag stated that Maguire would play an important role for Man United this season. Ten Hag said, "We have a squad who have more than 11 starting players. We need rotation throughout the season to keep everyone fit because no one can play all the games. Harry Maguire will play a key role for us. I'm glad he's back in the England squad. This shows something about how he's played in the last few games." Man United agreed to pay €50 million to buy de Ligt from Bayern Munich this summer. So far, the Dutch player hasn't made Red Devils fans feel very sure. Former Man United midfielder Scholes already thinks de Ligt might not be better than Maguire. He told the Overlap, "Erik Ten Hag was just waiting for the chance to get Matthijs de Ligt instead of Harry Maguire. I don't think it's that big of an upgrade. De Ligt played against Southampton. Maguire would have done fine against Southampton too. He might be a bit better, but it's not a huge improvement that makes you think, wow." This goes for all the new players they've signed. Talking about Ten Hag taking his time to bring in new signings, Scholes added, "They introduced Manuel Ugarte on the field for the Liverpool game, and then he left to join Uruguay, and the South American players, they sometimes don't return until Friday, and then they had to play at 12:30 p.m. on Saturday at Southampton." Erik Ten Hag takes his time with new players. He doesn't rush to include them. Matthijs de Ligt experienced the same treatment. Noussair Mazraoui stands out as the only exception, joining the lineup right away. Scholes finds it odd that Erik Ten Hag chose to exclude Marcus Rashford from the Crystal Palace match. Jamie Redknapp suggested that something untoward must have occurred for Rashford not to start for Man United. Ten Hag, however, dismissed these comments as crazy. Nevertheless, Scholes was just as confused as Redknapp about Rashford's exclusion from the lineup against Palace. He also expressed major concerns about the Man United attacking unit overall. Scholes commented on the Overlap, "Manchester United have trouble scoring. They can't seem to find the net. They've managed 5 goals, with 3 of those coming against Southampton. This probably shows you that the attackers aren't up to par. Not playing Marcus Rashford on Saturday didn't make sense. He hadn't scored for ages, and then, out of nowhere, he nets 3 goals in 2 games and sits on the bench. Ten Hag called it rotation. Oh, please, give me a break. Alejandro Garnacho can cause problems, but he's not the finished product, and we lack that polished player in any attacking position, except for Marcus Rashford, who's struggled. Bruno will get you some goals, but they need a proper striker. Amad Diallo is similar to Garnacho. He's a bit behind in development, but he shows promise. They all have a lot to learn and too much untapped potential in the attacking lineup. You think about Rasmus Højlund last year again, it's potential. I'm not looking at him thinking, wow, we've got a striker here, 25 to 30 goals. I don't have that thought. Joshua Zirkzee brings people into play more than Højlund does. But is he that big goal threat? They had a couple of chances against Liverpool, which the keeper saved. And as a midfield player, can we be too critical of the midfield players when we think about what's in front of them? If I played in the Liverpool midfield, I'd be thinking, wow, I've got real forwards who will win us games of football. If I'm in the United midfield, I'm looking forward thinking, I'm not sure, maybe Bruno Marques if he's confident. The others, I just don't know about. McLaren worked as assistant manager at Old Trafford for 3 seasons. Erik Ten Hag brought him in when he came from Ajax. Ten Hag wanted someone who knew the club well. Before this, Ten Hag had worked under McLaren at FC Twente. United will play against FC Twente on Wednesday night to start their Europa League campaign. Ten Hag signed Casemiro from Real Madrid during his first summer as United's manager. McLaren says Casemiro couldn't believe how good Ten Hag was to work with. Even though the Brazilian star had teamed up with Jose Mourinho, Carlo Ancelotti, and Zinedine Zidane during his 9-year stint at the Santiago Bernabeu, McLaren thinks Ten Hag's meticulous tactical approach has taken Casemiro by surprise. He stated, Casemiro couldn't believe the level of detail and tactical know-how that he, Ten Hag, possessed. He, Casemiro, thought he had seen everything at Real Madrid. Given that Casemiro had claimed 5 Champions League trophies and 3 La Liga titles in the Spanish capital, we reckon he might have experienced it all at Real Madrid when you consider he's only bagged the Carabao Cup and FA Cup at United. McLaren said, That's what I found valuable in my first year at Twente. Erik helped me settle into the club. Every practice session was planned, including water breaks. He paid attention to every detail, even down to what you had to wear, whether socks were pulled up or down. McLaren was dismissed by the new leadership at Old Trafford, along with Mitchell van der Gaag and Benny McCarthy, as part of a coaching shake-up that saw former United striker Ruud van Nistelrooy come back to the club. Ineos, who gained sporting control at Old Trafford, brought in Dutchman René Haak and Swede Andreas Jorgensen to help improve United's 8th-place finish last season. McLaren went on, Erik's a brilliant strategist. He spots things on the field that others miss. Every player will tell you they've picked up so much. Don't get me wrong, we've had countless meetings, but they've all learned from him. And I have too. As Jamaica's coach, McLaren can pick from players like Leon Bailey, Michael Antonio, Demarai Gray, and Ethan Pinnock. These guys have played a lot in the Premier League, but if his last season at United tells us anything, Jamaica fans might want to look away.